cool call today with Heather Pierce Campbell. And we're kind of the two warriors. We're intent on helping small businesses and entrepreneurs grow their business, as well as protecting what they've worked so hard to build. Today, we're actually going to be highlighting with Heather, who is an attorney and has some incredible online business courses as well to help entrepreneurs really understand some of the big legal mistakes that are being made and how to avoid them. So we're going to dive right in. I'm really excited about this because, you know, digital topography has changed, yada, yada. We all know, we all know it. I feel like I've been talking about this for forever. But I'm really curious and excited about talking about the 7 legal mistakes because they are super important, really relevant. And why don't I just turn it over to you, and why don't you just share with us? Yeah, share with us what they are, and then let's just go through them point by point, if that sounds good.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, thank you first, Andrea, for having me. You've got this beautiful, and I'm just going to say, like, I'm in this hotel room, right? There's a lamp behind me. I'm in Phoenix, and it's actually gorgeous outside, so at least I have some light. But I really appreciate you scheduling this call. I'm excited because this topic, it is one of the ones right now that people are learning the hard way. Like, you joke about saying, you know, like, come on, with the online world for a while now. And I know you are kind of like, you're an action taker, a front runner on a lot of things that you have learned in business. But the online world of business, and I've said this for a long time, is like the Wild West of business. And it is really just now that regulations are starting to catch up with people, including entrepreneurs and small business owners online, because we now have rules about what we should and shouldn't be doing. And so my goal is that we keep people out of trouble and that they learn really quickly through other people's errors what not to do. Because the list, and let's be clear, there's more than 7 things that you can do wrong online. But we'll just stick to 7 today. These are the primary ones that I see really common, and they can cause a lot of turmoil for your business. So the first one is one of the most common. And I need to create a collection of snapshots because I see this being done wrong, like, all over the place. Everywhere. So I need to have a flip book, like, here, what not to do. But, you know, at the point of opt-in, when people are like, they have a newsletter sign up or a freebie or a giveaway, like, you probably have off the top of your head, like, ones you've read, like the statement right below where people sign up, like, you know, your information is 100% safe with us, or, you know, like, I've just seen a variety of really ridiculous statements made at the point of opt-in. It's a simple one, but it's a big one, because if you violate that or you're saying something that isn't true, like, we will never share your information with a third party. Wrong. Because even running an online business and, like, collecting information usually takes 3 or 4 plugins, you know, the third party opt-in for.
And I think the problem with that is that most people don't understand that their information, even though their information is going to be secure in your back-end CRM, they don't understand that that CRM connects to 3 to 4 other areas. And so if one of those other areas is compromised, so for example, I had a client who used Teachable, and that's an online training platform, and Teachable's security was compromised, I want to say a year ago. And they got access to her back-end contacts. And so these are things that we do need to be aware of. And that line, that's why you're saying it's so important. So what should people have there instead?
My preference is that people are very upfront about, like, here is a link to our privacy policy, which describes what we are doing with your information, right? They let people know, like, we're going to do stuff with it. We're going to market to you. We're going to, like, keep you in our database, and we're going to send you stuff. I mean, there's a lot of disclosures, truthfully, that could be made. Like, you know, people who do it well have separate opt-ins, like, especially now following the GDPR. If you've got a lead magnet that you're giving away, for example, you should have, like, a separate checkbox that says, yes to marketing materials or no, or opt-in only. Like people should be able to choose what they want and don't want. But even if you're not going to that extent, you need to let people know, here's my privacy policy. We will be marketing to you so that they can decide at that point whether or not they want to give you their information. But creating an active link to your privacy policy is the best bet, because and requiring that they check a box to get that opt-in so that it acknowledges that they knew there was a privacy policy in place and they had the chance to go review it. But, better yet, spell it out in clear language. Like if you opt into our database, you'll receive marketing messages from us. Let them know at the point of opt-in so they can make a decision then about whether they really want that thing.
And how is that different between Canada and the US? Because in Canada, it's a double opt-in. In the States, it is an opt-out. So, there is a bit of difference in compliance between the two countries.
Absolutely. So in Canada, you would have the confirmation email that gets sent saying you asked to be on this list, please confirm. And they have to click the link, right? And then you can send them follow-up stuff. So they do have, there's an additional step if you're playing by the rules in Canada. But you're right that Canada is opt-in. They want to make sure somebody has proactively taken actually 2 steps, not just one. And in the US, it's opt-out. So you can send somebody something, but you have to give them an option at every message, every commercial message, to get off your list.
Yeah. And I think that that's really a good place to be. We always do the double opt-in. And I say to a lot of entrepreneurs and small business owners, well, what if they don't click? If they don't click, you don't want them on your list anyways, because they're going to be tire kickers. They're going to be a waste of time. And so don't worry about, if somebody doesn't want to check that box or they don't want to click to receive your content, it means that they weren't really interested in the first place. Move on to the next people who actually are interested.
That's right. And I work with some folks actually even here at this event that, have studied the difference between the Canadian and US systems. And the double opt-in does result in smaller lists if you use it, but it also, you're generally getting people that are more engaged. And so it's a trade-off. Like, do you want a highly engaged list? Yes. All of us should be striving for that. Right? So probably all of us should have double opt-ins, but there is a trade-off for sure. All right. So,
number 2.
I know. Number 2 is truly collecting data of any kind without a privacy policy in place, right? So what does collecting data mean? Well, we just talked about the opt-in form, right? Somebody proactively gives you an email address, probably their first name, signs up for the thing, whatever it is you're giving away. That's one way that we collect data. Okay. If you're doing that, yes, you absolutely need a privacy policy. But what if you're not, what if you don't even have an opt-in form yet? Because I get this question. Well, I just have a landing page. I have a very small website. It's just starting to be built out. And I'll ask them, well, do you have Google Analytics installed? And they'll be like, well, yes. That's data collection. And under the GDPR, that is the collection of personally identifiable data. You can use the data that is collected through Google Analytics to actually identify somebody.
Well, and what other people don't realize is that it's not just Google Analytics, it's the Facebook pixels as well.
Totally.
There are in the past 3 months, there have been numerous people have their business Facebook accounts shut down because they haven't had clear privacy policies. They've been doing things that they shouldn't be doing. They've been making claims that they're not allowed to make. And these are all tied to the website.
That's right. So if you it really doesn't matter what you're doing. If you have a landing page, and some people will say, well, is a landing page a website? Yes. It's sharing information and probably collecting information. It's a one-page website, but it's still a domain. It's still a website. And so because a lot of people try to get around having to actually do legal stuff in their business because they say, oh, I just have a landing page or a couple of landing pages. And it's yeah, well, there's my food. 1 second.
It was really fun. So Heather and I had planned this because we knew that there were so many business owners that are struggling with this or simply unaware of a lot of the regulations and the changes that have been made. And I think what I always encourage people to do is learn. Get involved, understand the digital practices that you're actually using. So if you're using things like ClickFunnels, if you're using things like ActiveCampaign or Infusionsoft, or you're using things like, even a basic website. So you've got your WordPress and you've got your Divi and you've got all these elements. Look at some of the regulations. One of the reasons that I absolutely love working with Heather is because we're in alignment with making sure you do things the right way. And that means that your business not only grows, but you also stay out of trouble. And, as you've been saying, Heather, there's been a lot of people that have gotten themselves in trouble of recent because it was the Wild West. And now we're seeing a lot of these things change, and they're changing fast. It's not like, hey, we're gonna check this out in a little bit. This is like, and by the way, we're shutting you down right now.
Totally. We'll get to another example that is so painful on here. That is this shutting down incident related to something else, but like this stuff needed to be done yesterday for people that are in online business, because at any moment, if you're doing something wrong, it can catch up with you in a hurry. And like in the United States, if you're doing something that's big enough and wrong, the FTC can come in and take over your business, actually take over your personal bank accounts, your personal assets. Like the FTC has more access to taking over your life than our court system does. That's how severe the penalties can be. So anyways, number two, if you are doing anything in the online world, you've got analytics, Facebook Pixel, like anything going on in your online platform, even a landing page, you need a privacy policy. And it needs to be GDPR compliant unless you're specifically excluding people from the EU, which most people are not doing.
Well, and why would you?
Why would you? If you're really providing services and information online that don't need to be excluded, like just get up to speed, because by the way, the rest of the world is trending towards the EU type of regulations, right? We've got countries all over that are modeling their privacy regulations after the GDPR. They're creating their own version of that. So it's not going to become less lax. I mean, maybe in certain, very exclusive areas, but overall, people just need to understand that privacy is a big deal. And if you truly want to engage with your customers and let them know you care about their rights to their data, you're going to be proactive in your business in addressing that. Number three is a big one, because obviously the goal for most online entrepreneurs is to be making online sales of some sort. Right? I mean, we love this when we get to make online sales. And whether
there's a noise that goes off when you start making sales, and it's really a fun noise. So those are the things that you want to be hearing all the time. And this is what helps you stay protected when that is happening.
That's right. Yes. No, I mean, one of my clients who's in the millions of dollars a year range talked about the experience of launching his first online, product, and like literally going to bed, like taking a trip or going somewhere and going to bed and waking up and having like, I don't even know how many, like handful or 10 emails or 20 emails of purchases. And like that feeling, right? I mean, that's what online entrepreneurs are looking to do. Create something that people want, create a service that will transform their clients. And whether you're delivering it automatically through a digital, format or pre-recorded format or whatever, or you just have an online sales funnel that leads them to a live event or live services, doesn't really matter what you're selling. If you're doing online sales, you need to have terms of purchase in place. And a lot of people get this wrong. They think if they have website terms and conditions, they're good. They're totally covered. Terms of purchase are different than website terms and conditions. Two different documents. And they cover different things. Your terms and conditions should cover what's generally accessible on your website to like any visitor that comes and finds you. Terms of purchase are specific to the sales you're making. They're going to be specific to that intellectual property, specific to refund policies for that thing. They're very specific. It's like going onto a car lot and driving away with a car. Like, you don't get some little receipt. Like, you get 10 pages of disclaimers, and it's a big deal.
Oh, I know. We just got a new car, and it was like signing our life away.
Right? I know. And not that it really needs to be that equivalent, but like, you need to take those exchanges seriously, because there's a lot involved. Your intellectual property, you need limitations of liability, etc. But whenever you're selling anything, you want terms of purchase in place specific to that sale, because not only it covers some of the things we just talked about, but you want to protect your merchant account. As an online entrepreneur, if you screw up and you're getting chargeback requests and you don't have terms of purchase in place, you can just have your merchant account closed down.
Yeah.
The first thing, if you get a chargeback request through, which happens way more frequently than people like to admit, but and they happen for all sorts of reasons, but friendly fraud accounts for 86% of the fraud that occurs online. And friendly fraud is somebody that knowingly purchased your thing and knowingly makes a chargeback request.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Well, and the other piece to that too, I think that's really important, is that they understand that your personal PayPal account is not secure. So it has to be a business PayPal account if you're using that. And that can create so many more complications as well.
Yep. And there's other merchant accounts available, but you're right. It needs to be a business one, needs to be professional, and designed to support, business functions. Because otherwise, anyways, we'll avoid all of the horror stories that can go wrong with merchant accounts. But I will say that the thing you need to have in place as a first stop to protect your merchant account is professionally drafted terms of purchase, so that when you get a chargeback request and your merchant account comes to you and says, hey, where are the terms that apply to this sale? You've got your ducks in a row. You can show them a copy of your sales page. You can show them a copy of your terms of purchase, and they go, okay, we got this, right? And you can show that you implemented your terms the right way. Somebody had to check up on them before they could purchase, right? So that's another point. That's actually point number 4 of the big mistakes I see online. Is even if somebody has terms, oftentimes they're way too minimal, like 3 paragraphs. Here's our refund policy, and if you have questions, call us. No, that's not enough for your terms. But they have them in the wrong location. They don't even use them the right way. They embed them at the bottom of their website, or some people will send them after the sale. No. You have to achieve constructive notice at or before the point of checkout, so that somebody knows that terms apply to the sale, they agree to them, and they indicate their agreement somewhere where it's trackable.
So on your order forms or on your sales pages, the best practice is then to have the link to the terms of sale. And then
yes, so terms of purchase should have a check the box. Think of the iTunes style, like I have read and agreed to the terms of purchase, right? And you have to actively click, right? You have to take an action to check them. So just a hyperlink is not enough, although that is better than nothing. Having a conspicuously posted hyperlink that's in bold right at or before the point of purchase, if that's as much as you can achieve because of your technical capability or your budget, do that over not having anything. But the next best option is to have a checkbox that says, I have read and agreed to the terms of purchase. And the terms of purchase can be a hyperlink. But the very best option, you've seen these as well, the scroll box. Like, you get to a purchase point and you actually have to scroll down through the terms. If you can achieve that functionality, that's really hard for somebody to argue that they did not see that terms applied. Like, they had to scroll for 10 pages before they got to the purchase, right? Those, from a legal perspective, the check the box or the scroll box are the most secure.
Great. So number 5.
Number 5 is not protecting their intellectual property.
Okay, let's talk about this, because we see so this is one of my bones of contention. It is something that drives me absolutely batty, because I see so many people ripping off other people's content and copyright. I've had it done to me. I've seen people that have come into my programs that I've called them on it and they've had to change things. And what's happening now in Canada is that people are being called on it. You cannot. Yeah.
Those Canadians are learning. You're not just being, Mr. Nice Guy anymore.
No. And I mean, Canadians we're not litigious, right? We're just not. But there has been a couple of instances where we're starting to see small businesses are being charged. And not a client of mine, somebody else who had told me about, we were talking about IP law because we were protecting all of mine. Mm-hmm. And this one particular woman shared a story about a woman in Toronto who decided to call her product this one name, and it was already a name by one of our big financial companies. So they didn't do the research, they didn't check, they just used the name and put it up, slapped it up on their website, created a website that had the same name.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So this exact conversation, I mean, it happens. So one of the primary ways people become my clients is that they have this scenario happen. Somebody rips off their stuff, or they're about to launch and they're afraid of somebody ripping off their stuff. So they're actually being proactive and taking some steps in advance to make sure that they're covered. And because this is a big topic, like protecting your intellectual property. Yes, there are federal level registrations, copyrights, trademark registrations that you can obtain. That's a topic for a different day. In the context of the online world, intellectual property. So in your website terms and conditions, in your terms of purchase, you have what's called licensing language that provides people the information that they need to understand how they can use your information. Is it just for them to, use in their personal life? Like you put a definition around how your information can be used. So you put contractual provisions around your intellectual property, your licensing language, your limitations of liability as well in regards to that IP, because here's the thing about the online world is we know how we intend for our information to be used, but we ultimately do not get to control how people use it, right? So we also have to have limitations of liability. But when people launch websites and don't put even their general website terms and conditions up, right? What happens is they have a website without terms. That doesn't mean that people can use your IP, but what it does signify is that you don't know enough about how to do business the right way in the online world, that people are going to feel free to rip off your stuff.
Sure, 100%.
Right? And especially if they're already inclined in that direction. Whereas if you've got legal terms up and you've got a little cookies notice that like signifies to them like, hey, we take our business seriously, we take your information seriously, here's our legal policies, etc. It's going to make somebody think. But then from the standpoint of like, if you have put those terms and conditions up right away and you've put your terms of purchase up, like your example, when you had somebody inside your course rip it off, even if you don't have federal level registrations, you've got a contractual agreement in place with that person that says, when you take my course, here are the ways you can use it, and here's what you can't do with it. And so it's much easier to call people on the carpet if they've been through your course and there are terms of purchase that apply. You send them to them and say, hey, friend.
Hey, friend.
Busted. Content, right? Without terms of purchase, people are in a scramble and they're like, oh, what do I have to do? And I mean, you can still sometimes achieve, people removing that content, but it is harder when they have to acknowledge that they signed off on terms of purchase or there were website terms and conditions that existed when they visited your site and they had to click the box to make that little notification go away. It's much easier to get people to respond appropriately.
Excuse me.
I know. So that is a huge one. Number 5, not protecting your intellectual property from a contractual perspective. It's a big one. Number 6 is not having proper disclosures. So in the online world, this can look like anything from proper disclosures on your website, right? And sometimes you can call them disclaimers, but for example, like when we are talking about affiliate relationships, not saying, hey, I'm an affiliate, I occasionally share affiliate links. If you purchase through those links, I will be making money, right? I mean, just being very upfront about what's happening in your business so that if somebody is purchasing through an email or through a website link, they're not thinking it's just a random third-party link that has nothing to do with your business. If you're making money, at least in the US, you need to disclose that. And the same is true in Canada. There's different laws, but the same effect. You need to disclose.
And it's interesting. I mean, all of us probably got bombarded with 8 million different, emails over the past, from Friday to Monday, Cyber Monday, Black Friday. And the amount of emails that I got from rando people that had affiliate links, but had literally weren't disclosing that they, this was something that they were doing. I think the big thing right now is that we have to get better at transparency. We have to get better at being upfront and saying, hey, this is how I practice. This is what I deliver. This is how I deliver it. And that's one of the elements that people just aren't doing, and they're getting in trouble for it now.
Yeah. Well, and if you think about it, people are so tired of certain online sales tactics. Like they're really getting tired of the way things have been done for a long time.
Sure.
It's reflected even in the way that people around the world are embracing greater privacy protection, that kind of stuff. So transparency is a tool for you to build client relationships. It's not something to be afraid of. I think some people think like, oh, if I tell people it's an affiliate link, won't that turn them off? And it's like, well, one, you could get into major legal trouble if you don't. And two, in my opinion, no, it's relationship building because you're saying, here's my business. This is what I do. I support this person and I'm an affiliate. So if you would like to connect with them through this link, great. People always have a choice to go purchase through a separate avenue. They could go directly to the website if they wanted to. So it's, I think it in no way harms your business to be that transparent, and it's also mandatory.
I also think, what I also think now, Heather, as well, I think as the world starts to understand how we grow, and we don't grow as individuals. I always say, get off the island of I and get on to the nation of we. And that also means that when you're helping another person, having an affiliate link or a joint venture partnership or having something like that shows that you're supporting and you're endorsing another company. You're endorsing something that's good because you believe that it's going to help that person. And I think the more we start to stand up for the things that are good, that are moving things forward and are making an impact and a difference in people's lives, and you're transparent about that, I actually think it shows more about your character and about how you're showing up differently in business, because this world is not going to be built from one person doing it all. This world is built by everybody doing their own work and then working together to help that grow. Like that's just how it works. It's always been the way. It's just been more, I'd say, hidden in the past, and now we're being upfront and we're being honest about how these things work.
Well, and there's a big mindset shift happening even in the online world and business generally that is gearing more towards collaboration and creating relationships because people recognize the old ways don't work. And you're right, we absolutely are not islands. And for those of us that are in the business of supporting other businesses, I think one of our jobs is to model collaboration and the importance of collaboration. One of the things I'm here to build at this event right now is, and it's like a workshop, is my resource page where I get to list all of the people that I support and that I'm affiliates with, but put them all together. And I am very happy to be building that and be able to showcase that and encourage others to do that, because the name of the game is collaboration and transparency.
Absolutely. So, yep. Let's get into number 7 because we're getting short on time here, and I bet you everyone's waiting with bated breath for it.
Number 7 is a big one. It's a very, very common one, and it is really problematic. So just to provide an example, so number 7 is getting yourself into trouble, and specific kind of trouble, copyright infringement trouble, because you are borrowing stuff off of the internet, whether that's somebody else's legal terms, right? People don't think of that. Whether that's their main web copy, whether that's an image that you found somewhere. And it's very, like, the potential impacts to your business for this one are significant.
Well, and it's funny because I recently went and told the client, I was like, listen, you need to get these up and running. You need to get your privacy policy. You need to, and you know, I always say, hey, I've got this really great contact. Her name's Heather, and she does amazing work. She did all of my stuff. And what was really funny was that, you know, I told her about, not only I had paid somebody to do it ahead of time, and then we had actually looked at it from more of the website, which is a specialty, right? Like, you're looking at online versus what we normally have. And so it was interesting because I think she just thought that she could go and copy it. And I was like, you can't copy that. You need to either get a lawyer or take this course. Those are your options, because you can't steal stuff like that. Like, that is theft.
No, and people just don't think of it, but you would be amazing. I mean, you would just be amazed at how many, what I'm going to call high-level entrepreneurs have ripped off my legal documents from somebody else's website, one of my other high-profile clients. And these are people that are teaching others about, you know, building amazing businesses and living your value, you know, and it's just like, are you kidding me? I mean, it's a thing, and people still don't get it. And so I'm just here to let you know, like, you'll get in big trouble for it, and it does not do good things for your brand. Let's be clear that when people hear that, I mean, I ended up having to share with one of my clients whose stuff got ripped off, and it included my content. It's like, man, that is not a good look for that person.
Well, and here's the thing, again, it was the Wild West. So let's recognize it was the Wild West. That's what people were doing. At one point, people were even sharing it. It was like, here, just use this, just take this, and away you go, right?
Yeah.
We're in a different space now. And I think that that's one of the things that, you know, and I catch this with women business owners all the time who are not leaning into technology, who are not advancing their skills, who are not spending the time to learn. And it doesn't matter if you've got a business online, if you have a website, you have to learn these things. It has to be mandatory, because you can no longer get away with doing these things. It is being regulated now. Yeah.
Yes. And the potential impacts, people just don't understand what can go wrong when doing that. So let me give you 2 recent examples. One is a woman who contacted me and said, hey, will you look over, I need a client service agreement. And I was like, great. And I said, you know, and I always ask people for their website so that, one, I can see what they're up to in the world. So I was on her website, and she said, will you take a quick look at my legal documents on my website just to make sure they're okay? I get this question a lot. And I looked at her, I looked at her website and checked out her documents, and we were on the phone, like literally talking while I was looking. And I said, well, where did you get these documents? She's like, oh, I found them from online or from a friend, or it was something. And I said, okay, well, do you know that your business is based in Florida, but according to your legal documentation, if you have an issue in your business that results in a dispute or any litigation, you have to go litigate in California. And she was like, what? Yeah, that's what it says in this paragraph, you know, 8 pages down or whatever. I'm joking, like it wasn't that long, but still, it's, you know, people make really simple mistakes that have tremendously large impacts in their business, or at least the potential to. And then an example yesterday. So there is a guy who inherited literally like a Facebook group with 1 million members.
Wow.
1 million. Like, can you imagine one published post? So the power in what he's sitting on is significant. And a friend like literally gave him this Facebook group that he didn't want to manage anymore. So he has been trying to figure out what to do with it. And so in preparation for an affiliate launch, like sharing information on behalf of an affiliate, they've been trying to kind of prime this group and warm it up a bit. So they've been posting over the last couple of weeks on topics related to this affiliate, share, whatever it is that the offer they're making. Well, they decided to snag some images off Pinterest. You can probably guess where this is headed. Shared them inside their Facebook group. Somebody complained. I mean, 1 million members, there's plenty of voices to complain in there if they see something that's not their own. And they got their Facebook group shut down yesterday.
Oh my goodness.
This is the potential of what can go wrong by snagging an image off of Pinterest. And I just want people to hear that story because it's so painful. I mean, so painful and so simple. Such a simple, like 1 second thing to do, like, oh, I'll just take this and share it. And their share, by the way, gave credit back to the original poster. So it wasn't like they were doing it intentionally, mischievously. They thought like, oh, we're just sharing. No, doesn't matter. Credit doesn't matter, folks, unless you have literally a written license agreement in place that says you have the right to use that on the web. Don't use it. If you didn't create it, you didn't pay for it, it's not yours. I don't care where it came from. It's not yours. So that's the final, very painful point number 7.
Very painful. Oh my goodness. Well, Heather, what an eye opener. An eye opener. It's like, oh, that last one's a heavy hitter.
It's a heavy hitter. And I've gotten a lot of calls on that particular topic. So it happened very.
I know there's a lot of the other thing that's happening too is that I think that when we look at Facebook, how many entrepreneurs are starting, their business models instead of doing opt-ins, a lot of them are starting on social because it's easy, and they don't recognize that all of that content, any of those names, any of those people, that's 1 million people that they've now lost. It's 1 million people.
Yeah.
I mean, and the earning potential of that is just
totally. I mean, it's so brutal. It's so brutal.
So let's shift a little bit into what are the documents that literally every online, and I don't even want to say online, what are the documents that every business owner needs? Because it's true, it's every business owner at this point.
It is. And if they're doing active business, they should be online, right? So let's be clear though that we are talking about online documents that everyone should have in place. I mean, let's start with the one that is required by law if you are collecting any amount of data. It's your privacy policy. You should not be doing anything online without having your privacy policy in place. And it needs to be GDPR compliant and have all the right things in it. And a lot of free generators don't touch certain areas of law. So let's just be clear on that, because people ask all the time, well, what about, just free privacy policies or borrowing from a friend? My response to that is, are you a lawyer? Do you know what you need? Do you know whether it's in that privacy policy? Usually when I look at them, they're really, really deficient. So there's that. The second document is going to be your general website terms and conditions. If you are online, if you have a landing page, if you're sharing information or making an offer, if you're exposing your IP in any way, you need to have your website terms and conditions up. Shows that you take your business seriously, shows that you care about your intellectual property, and you should, right? And your website terms and conditions is a very large document that sets all the ground rules for what should happen when people visit your site. If you're doing sales, this is the third key document that you need. But it's, it's for those who are doing sales. But let's be clear, everybody online, you should be doing sales. If you're a business, there's no business without sales. So you should be making sales online. And to do that, like we talked about, you need to have terms of purchase that address certain things. That is also a big document, but it's an important one specific to your sales. There are some additional documents that may be necessary. So for example, if you have affiliate relationships, you should have an affiliate disclaimer on your website, right? And if you create your own affiliate program, you should have your affiliate agreement online as well. So there are some additional ones that might be specific to businesses doing certain things, right? If you, like you, Andrea, if you are coaching other business owners and it has anything to do with sales or increasing income, you should have an earnings disclaimer in place.
Mhm.
But the triad, the really three core documents are your website terms and conditions, your privacy policy, and your terms of purchase. Those are the three that everybody should have.
Yeah. And all of those, and how you also go about working with those. Again,
The
it's
best,
also
best practices in regards to those documents.
that's right.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And just before we sign off here,
Mhm.
because I really want to, get this home. Why is it that you're not allowed to just use templates from free sites? Because there's a lot of free sites out there and you can go and type your stuff in. Why can't we do that? And why can't we borrow from friends?
I know. I've only given one example so far on that, but the problems are immense. I have seen scenarios where having a contract in place is more painful than not having a contract, because you, first of all, don't know how it applies to your business or whether it applies. So those free templates, you have to keep in mind that those template generators are designed for the world at large. Like, is your business like every other business? Probably not. Are you doing specific things with information and, specific to the way that you deliver your services? Probably, absolutely, yes. Are you maybe collecting certain types of information that are unique to your business? Like, I don't know without talking with somebody directly, but a free generator and a friend's, like, the number of times people have come to me with massive problems that have erupted, and I've asked them, like, where did you get your documents? Did you have them created for your business? Well, I had a friend, I just borrowed them, I changed them slightly from, it's like, no. There was a legal case recently in Seattle, literally involving the placement of a comma. And this was like, I can't remember if it was a multi-billion-dollar project. It was like 450 million, massive project. It was Big Bertha, that drill going under the ground to create the tunnel. Hit something, got stuck, a pipe, I think, that was on everybody's map, and people should have known that it was there and they missed it. But the concern, once the Big Bertha got stuck for like a really long time, caused massive, as far as, monetary damages, millions and millions and millions in damages. And so there was a lawsuit brought over who was responsible for that. Literally, the placement of a comma in the document made the difference between the contractor being responsible or not. The comma. And so, oh yeah, millions, like literally millions of dollars resting on a comma. So my question for people is, like, is drafting legal documents like something that you're comfortable with? Is it what you do? Is it what you're like? Where did your friend get the document?
That's the worst part, right? Are you copying someone's stuff from like a random site? Can you even imagine?
Yes, just the potential. I mean, litigating in California versus Florida, like,
versus Toronto versus Calgary versus versus Halifax. So
yeah,
absolutely.
So many ways it can go wrong. So
excuse me. So Heather, and full disclosure, everyone. So obviously Heather is one of my joint venture partners. She's an affiliate of mine. I endorse her work 100%. I've actually, all of my content on the Wealthy Woman Warrior website is also, I did all of the documents with Heather. I had originally had them done with someone here in Toronto, and they weren't up to snuff, even though, they were done in-house. And I love the person who did them in-house for me, but they were not a specialist for web development. I think that's the big thing that we have to look at. And all lawyers will say, Heather, I'm sure you will too, look at what I specialize in, because contract law is different from website law, is different from family law.
Totally.
Different from IP law, different from trademark law. So we have to look at how all of these things apply. And your work has been instrumental to my business growth, and I love what you do. So I am going to post a URL for everyone now, so that if they want to get into your course, I believe you have a course coming up soon, don't you?
Yeah, so I'm going to do one in December and one in January. Once people are in, I'll be sending more information for that. But this is my website protection package, which is my most popular offering. Like, everybody needs this. And so normally it's $11.97 and you work one-on-one with me. This is in the context of a workshop, which has several advantages. And you've been through that model. It was just spaced out over, a couple of days or a couple of weeks. But you get to show up live, get the training, go through the documents, and ask like every question under the sun that you need to ask while you are going through the documents, whether it's about the documents themselves, whether it's about filling it out the right way, etc. Right? So we go through that together. And let's be clear, I have to say in response to your comment, Andrea, that actually in the legal world, I can't say that I specialize or that I have a specialty, just not allowed in the US to say that. So I just want to make that clear. But my focus, as you know, like the people that I serve through my legal work are business owners and entrepreneurs, and nearly all of them have an online presence. Like this is the work that I do. So I love supporting people in the world. I love supporting their work. I love actually the process of not just delivering documents, but leading people doing it the right way and staying out of trouble, right? That's my goal. And so through the workshop experience, people get that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on today, Heather, and chatting about the top 7 legal mistakes that we are making so that we can correct them and not do them anymore, and recognize that the Wild West has transitioned into the digital world, and we're savvy.
That's right.
We are savvy.
For people where this is a fit, I will just say jump on it now. This price is amazing. It's 50% off. And yes, I love my work. I mean, I truly love being able to support people. But if you need this, like now is the time to get in, just because I don't know how long I'm going to be doing the workshop model. And it's really fun. I love the interaction. I love people showing up to those calls. And I love being able to answer their questions and walk through and help them actually get these documents done, and not at the normal one-on-one client price. So it's a huge opportunity for folks where they just know that addressing their online legal needs is a thing they need to do.
Yeah. And I would say, everyone wants to do this. Everyone should be doing this. And as you head into 2020, wouldn't it be great to start off the next decade knowing that you are protected? I know for me, that was a big, big deal. Even though I had everything in place, it was wonderful to actually revisit those, because that had been done when I first put up the website, and just make sure that everything that I was doing was 100% in alignment. Because here's the thing, ladies and gents, when you are in alignment with where you want to go, you start to grow. And when you're not, that's where everything feels like you're stuck and you're not moving forward. So this isn't a big leap of faith. This is literally get the foundations of your business in place. Check out that URL, join Heather in her next workshop, and let's move into 2020 with some really great alignment. Have a beautiful day, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on Tribe Thrive. We will see you next time. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.